Well, the books can help, and a lot of times books can help you understand what you want or can understand how to change it, but it's not going to be the whole picture. And unless you can have a book change it, because sometimes things happen and books can do that, but it's really about changing that system that's within you that got created for however many reasons it got created, from our conditioning or our ideas that we grew up with. There's lots of different ways that we have ideas put into our subconscious mind, and the more we become aware of what's in there, the more we can do. But a book, it isn't really going to be enough to just have the book. And so that's why working with someone who is on a one-to-one basis is something that really is the best. And as a hypnotist, I have several hypnotists in my life who work with me, because there are places where I can read a book, I can look at some things, I can change some areas, but to be really objective on my own behalf, I can't do that for myself. I have to have someone else be on the outside saying, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I can see that you're in your perspective, or how you're thinking isn't accurate. You need someone who's objective on your own behalf, and knowing how to work with the tools. And that's what's really important. So a book can help, but really we need someone on the outside that's an expert in that.
Yeah, of course, because we have to go inside in order
Yes.
to reprogram these paradigms that we have in our minds. So, what are the cases that you have, permanently? Because I think you, as a hypnotist, you have a lot of cases. But what are the most cases that you have currently? They go to you once and they go again, and then again and again and again. Why? What do you think that it's really difficult to do this change for them?
Change isn't really difficult. You just have to be able to know how to do it. Because I think change can be easier than people think. But with hypnosis, there is a repetition. It is something that we've had a repetition of thoughts in our mind over and over for our lives. And then when we're changing that, we need to have the repetition of the new thought. And so it does take multiple sessions. It's not necessarily just one. But every time I work with someone, that first session, there's something that changes. There's something that happens. Every session, there's something that happens, but it's the culmination, each session all together, the sum of all those sessions that create the result that happens. And I've worked with people about money to help them have a different experience with money and get out of the limitations with that. I've helped people with their health, with sleeping. I've helped with studies, with wanting to learn a new skill. I've helped a lot of medical students pass their medical boards. There's lots of different areas that people need help in. And so it really just depends on what that person is, where they are right now and where they want to be. That's the place I'm working in. And so I can list a lot of things. I've helped a lot of athletes with sports. I've helped my biggest sports client was someone who won an Olympic medal, which that was really cool. I helped her do that. And I've helped other professional athletes, which is really cool, and elementary school athletes and high school athletes. So it's not just the big names. It changes the lives of those that aren't in the spotlight. So there's many different areas that I've worked in. I've been like that general practitioner where people come and see me, and we talk about what they want. And if I know someone that would be better for them, I refer them to that person. But a lot of times I just work on them myself, depending on what they need. Because there are experts, people who are hypnotists that are experts in a certain area. And if they need their expertise, I will refer them. But it's very, very amazing. And I just love it. I'm learning every day. And even though I've been in for a while, every day I'm learning. Every day I'm getting to work with new people, learning how to do things a little differently. And I just love it. So I'm so happy when someone it comes to me and is so happy that their life is different in the way they wanted.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do you think? What could you say about the myths that we have about hypnosis? Because we have a lot of myths about hypnosis. So, what do you think are the most difficult to overcome?
Well, one of the myths is that people think that I'm in control when they think that I'm taking control of their life or I'm controlling their mind. And that's not true. I'm helping them control their own mind. And that's one of the biggest myths. One of the things I get asked a lot, because here in Utah, there are a lot of stage shows, stage hypnosis. It's very entertaining. It's fun to watch. But people will ask me if I'm going to make them quack like a duck or cluck like a chicken. And no, because it's not about that. It's like, I'm not here, I'm not having them come pay me so I can be an audience to watch them do something. That isn't what it's about. But that's their only understanding of hypnosis. And so that's something else. Some people think they can get stuck in hypnosis, which isn't true. That's if you're in a hypnotic state, it will wear off if you don't continue to keep it. Now, if you want to keep it, you can, but a lot of times you can just fall asleep and then you'll wake up and you'll be out of it. So you're not going to get stuck in it. So there's multiple different myths about hypnosis, and people are a little afraid of it. And because of movies and because of different TV shows and different ideas that are out there. And it's really about helping that person control their own mind, know that they are in charge. And then I teach different techniques that they can do that keeps them in charge of their own life. But the real purpose of it is so that the emotions that run us, they are in charge of the emotions instead of the emotions in charge of us. And that's what happens when we're in a reaction. Our emotions are running us. They're in charge, rather than we be the master in our own life and be in master of those emotions. That's the biggest thing that is about hypnosis, about becoming the master in our own life, being in the driver's seat, and noticing where those places are that we want to have be different, and get in charge of those places. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, it's really wonderful, because I have done some of the sessions, and I really have a different feeling from that. So, and we have a lot of exercises also in our practice. So, tell me a little bit instead, how long does it take for a person, a patient, I don't know, how do you want to say, to change these beliefs? Because there are a lot of people that says that it is just enough to have 21 days or 33 days. So what do you think about that?
That is the answer to that question is it depends. The answer everyone hates, it depends, because it really does depend on each person. And I call them clients, and my people are my clients. I do sessions that usually are an hour and a half. And then it really does depend on what they want. And I set up programs with 3 sessions to start, or they can do 10 sessions. I've had people who have done sessions for like 6 months. They come in every week for 6 months and really have had some great result. They like to keep coming because of the results they're getting, the way they feel. And then we just work on different things over the time of that 6 months. Very happy. I have some really great reviews on my business Google profile. I have some great reviews. I've got very happy clients because they are finding themselves having that experience different. I just had a client that very much afraid of flying, and we worked on that, and he had to take a trip, and the airplane hit a little turbulence, and he was fine. He was like, I was so amazed at myself, because even though that happened in that turbulence before they landed, he said I was fine. And he is amazed at how he's feeling different now about flying and about that experience. And so those are the things that there's so many different places where it can work. But it really does depend on the person. That particular person, he did 3 sessions. So you don't have to do a whole bunch of sessions necessarily. It really just depends on the person.
Yeah, wonderful. So let us know, guys, if you have any questions, and just to take advantage of Dory here, if you have any question about hypnosis, just let us know, please. Even then, when we are not live, if you have some questions, just please write down below the video, and we are gonna answer your questions. So instead, let me think. Yeah, I have another question, because I have some questions here. So the question: what is the difference between hypnosis, self-hypnosis, guided meditation, and just meditation? What is the difference between these 4?
So there's a lot of overlap there. And they're all going to the same brainwave patterns. We have the 4 brainwave patterns. We have beta, alpha, theta, delta. All of them are going to in those same areas. So sometimes a guided meditation could be a self-hypnosis session could be a guided hypnosis session depends on how you look at that. And so hypnosis and meditation, you're quieting your mind, you're closing your eyes, you're going down into the alpha, theta area, and then it depends on what you're doing. So the function of hypnosis is to be changing a thought, changing an idea, changing the perception of how you see something. Meditation is more about accessing your essence, the essence of who you are, letting go of the thoughts, letting go of ideas, being still, and be recognizing that true essence of who you are. So those are the different areas. And then self-hypnosis is where you're hypnotizing yourself, meaning that you're guiding yourself. You're not having someone else facilitate. I call it facilitated hypnosis or self-hypnosis. And so you're not having someone else outside of you doing that for you. If you're listening to an audio, someone else is guiding you. That's not necessarily self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is where you're closing your eyes, talking to yourself, allowing yourself to go down through practice, going to that place where you know how to go, and then letting yourself go into that place. So meditation and hypnosis are very similar. It's just the function and the purpose of what you're doing. That's the only difference, because you're going to the very same place. And that's why there's a lot of confusion, because it feels the same, because it's the same place you're going to, just the different function, a different purpose with each one. And there is overlap, because a guided meditation can sound a lot like a hypnosis session. So it can be very similar to that.
So let's overlap this piece also in order to talk a little bit about the principles of success in Napoleon Hill. So we have auto-suggestion. So do you think that auto-suggestion and self-hypnosis is the same thing, or it's different?
In the hypnosis world, auto-suggestion means you're telling yourself something without going into the hypnotic state. And self-hypnosis is where you're going in the hypnotic state. So what the difference would be just telling yourself something, or you're letting yourself go into alpha. You're closing your eyes, or you're taking a breath and going deeper, and then you're telling yourself. So that's the difference in the hypnosis training in that world. In the Napoleon Hill world, auto-suggestion is simply giving yourself suggestions, and it could be either in a hypnotic state or not. So it depends on what the context of what you're talking about. So in the Napoleon Hill teachings, auto-suggestion can be either one of those. It can be going into that alpha or theta, or it could be staying in beta. It's the same same name. So it's just, there's a different way. But if you let yourself go, all you have to do hypnosis is really easy. That's one of the biggest myths. It's hard to go to. We go in and out of these states multiple times a day. And that's why we get hypnotized in our life, because we're going in and out of those states many times. But if you just close your eyes and take a deep breath, you're already going into alpha, and then you can use that alpha state and give yourself suggestions. Now, you don't do that while you're driving, or you don't do that when you need to put your focus on other things. But it's so simple. That's what people don't realize, how simple it is to go into that state, how simple it is to allow yourself to be in that state where those suggestions are really working for you. It is so simple.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that you say we really are hypnotized all of the time. Just we don't know, but we really are hypnotized all of the time. We live in the society hypnotized, and we are not aware of that. So we have a question here. Let me read. We have a question. Is this something you learn, or were you born with this knowledge?
So I'm going to answer that saying both, because I became aware that this was my purpose. The reason why I came was one of the tools. I have multiple tools to help people really be who they want to be, and really be able to have the tools of who they want to be. So I did take training. I did take training with the National Guild of Hypnotists. And did that training, and then the first training was became a certified hypnotist. But then the next training is when you start using that training and start practicing with clients, And so it was both. But I became aware as I started having more and more desire and more wanting to be doing this hypnosis, that it was something I came to do. And not just hypnosis, I do energy work, I do massage, I do other things. But it's really about helping people be the best who they are so they can do what they came to do. My job is to help people be able to do what they're bringing, because each one of us is bringing a purpose. Each one of us is here to help other people. It isn't about having necessarily a big business or a big, doesn't have to be a big deal. If you are here and you're smiling at people and you help them feel good, you're serving. And so it doesn't have to be a big thing that looks big on paper, but we each have a purpose. We each have a destiny. We each came with something to do. And my purpose is to help people get rid of those obstacles so they can do what they came to do. That's my purpose. And so I became aware of that. So I do have some gifts that I was given that came with that purpose, because with our purpose, we have the gifts and talents for that. But then I also trained that. I also did the learning for that. And there are teachings out there. And I train, so if someone wants to train, let me know. But there are people training, there's all around the world, there's great hypnotists who certify for that, and you find the right one for you. But it's and both.
Yeah, I think so really, because we have a soul plan. We have already have a soul plan, so that's why we are here, and that's why we met there in Napoleon Hill also, because we are here in order to help people to be aware that why they are here, because all of us has a purpose, all of us for sure. Chicos, les decía, si tienen alguna pregunta, escriban aquí en el chat, que así les podemos responder, que estamos hablando de hoy de la importancia de la hipnosis y por qué la hipnosis te sirve para reescribir tu historia, porque sabemos que el 97-98% es subconsciente, entonces estamos hablando sobre todo de esto. Así que puedes escribirme en español, que yo te la traduzco en inglés. Este live es en inglés, pero no importa, va a quedar acá abajo también una descripción en español. Okay. So let me check if we have another question. Anyone? Questions about hypnosis? Let me see. Hello, guys. I'm so happy to see you here. Okay. No more questions. So, instead, I'm going to ask you something. What is the question that you always have about hypnosis? Because you already know everything about hypnosis. Everything, for sure, you are still learning, and all of us are still learning about everything. So, what is the question that you have a lot of times about hypnosis?
That I have, or that people ask me?
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the biggest questions people ask me is, can I be hypnotized? And the answer is yes. We all have those 4 brainwave patterns. And sometimes they've gone to a hypnotist and they say, well, I couldn't go there, I didn't work, or I went to a stage show and I didn't go under. It's because they didn't have the trust level. They didn't allow themselves to relax. Yes, you can be. And when we were in our mother's womb, and when we could, about 5 months in our gestation, we can hear. And from that point on until about the age 8, we are taking in everything around us without filters. So we have been hypnotized for those 8 years in our life, taking on other people's ideas. And then from that point on, it becomes our responsibility to begin to be aware. And of course, a lot of times it's when we're older that we understand this. It's our turn to start saying, do I want to keep that? Do I want to let that go? Do I want to keep that? Do I want to let that go? But we have those 4 brainwave patterns, and you can notice when those, when you're in that state, as you start practicing, you become aware. So I have a story where I came home one night from work, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, and because I do evening sessions, and I was tired, and I sat down in front. Thing you never should do. I sat down in front of the TV, turned on the TV, and then I fell asleep into a light doze. And I woke up hearing the news anchor saying, and this is before COVID, before all that other stuff happened, long before COVID, and she said, the flu's going around, you're gonna get the flu. And I felt that suggestion go in. And I remember I immediately, like, what? I jumped up and I started talking to myself. I started, because I knew how to do this, but I started walking that off and saying, no, this body's healthy and strong, because I could feel it go in, that I just took that on because I was silly. I was in front of a TV, going in the alpha, you go into the alpha state, and then anything that's happening on that TV is just going to go in because you're in a hypnotic state. So that is really not a good thing to do. We want to be away from keep sleeping with the TV on or other things, because you're taking that all in. And I could feel it leave. I could feel it change. It's like, whew, okay. But then later there was a thing that's like, oh yeah, a lot of people got the flu. Well, I no wonder, because she hypnotized, that anchor hypnotized the whole people, all the people watching the news were hypnotized with that. Oh, I'm going to get the sick. Okay. And so this is where we really are susceptible, and we have to be guarding our own house, guarding our own inside ourselves, our own body, our own mind from these things of what we don't want, so that we can bring in what we do want, because that's happening all the time. And we get relaxed, we get feeling good, we get with people, and then we don't realize that, or like me, you do realize, and you have to do something about it and stop that from happening, because it really is so simple. And that's the challenge we have, is that it's so simple that can be hypnotized very easily. And so we can be hypnotized easily in a good way or easily in the wrong way. So that's why we have to guard our own house. We have to be the one in charge and say, is this what I want to keep, or is this what I want to change?
For sure, because that's why I really, I don't watch television. I really don't like television. I really, think what I want to do with my life. And for me, it's very important to guard my mind. So that's why I always just listen podcasts or just reading. I love reading. And also, some spaces in order to work for myself, in myself. That's something that I really love, instead of watching TV. But
yeah. So I ended up, after that point, getting rid of it. I don't have a TV. I haven't had TV now for years, but I got rid of it after that point. It's like, no, this is there's no more of this in my house. So I got rid of it. So I don't even have one now.
And that's the old conditioning that we have.
Yes.
So we are, studying and working all of this. We have our self-conditioning, so we have to work on that every single day. It's not because we are coaches and we don't do this work anymore. We do this work every single day.
Yeah.
So why it's very important for you also, guys, to do this work, because this is a really work that we have to do every single day until the day that we are gonna go outside of this world. What do you think about that? How many hours do you think it's really a good idea to put on in order to work on ourselves?
It's a constant thing. It's constantly being aware of what you're thinking. Is that accurate? Is that true? Is that what I want to keep? It really is a constant thing. And then we take time to, like you say, to do the reading or listening to podcasts, or I like to do YouTube a lot. There's some great YouTube motivational videos and things. And so we have to put in our mind what we want in there. And it is reading those good books, and you want to be at the higher frequency. And I like to be at accurate. What's really accurate? And so that's what I'm looking for. But it does take an everyday thing. And there are people who are in a program like we've been in with the Napoleon Hill Institute with the coaching, and there's people who create their own program and are just doing it because it's what they really want, and they're finding the books, and they're finding the ideas, and being around people who are book clubs and people that are really going to raise their frequencies. And that's what we have to do. And it's a constant vigilance in a way. It doesn't have to be tiring or exhausting, but it is that vigilance. Is this what I want? If not, you let it go or change it. Is this really what I want to be thinking, feeling? And so it is about being aware when you notice something coming in, and then changing that. It takes practice. The more you practice, the easier it is to do. It used to be more intense for me with some of this work, but now it's easier because we practiced. It's like anything else. When you practice, it becomes easier.
Yeah. So what could you say? I have some clients that they said, Maritsela, but I'm reading a lot of books. I think it's not necessary necessary to be in a study book club. What do you think about that? What do you think? What could you say to the people who are listening us? Why it is so important to be in a community? Because this community is going to help you and it's going to support you. Why do you think it is so important? What are your ideas about this?
Well, when we're together and we're reading a book or we're talking about something, you're going to bring up different ideas than I have. You're going to share with me different perspectives, and when you're in that group, people are bringing in different ways of thinking that would not be what I would think on myself, and that changes me when I'm around those ideas and around those different ways of thinking, or their experience that's different than mine that they're seeing. It's like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. And it changes me because I'm getting a different perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to do that as a group.
Yeah, because sometimes we are having also the same problem to the other person. And there in a group, we can give us permission to be vulnerable in order to talk about this, because other people are in the same frequency and the other people is going to understand. Other people are going to support us. So that's why I think it's really, really important to be in a community, even though we think that we have already done some work. But it's really, really important to be in a group, in a community, in order to develop more your abilities, your understanding, and the work that you are doing in this self-development work. So tell us just one or two little tips that you can help in order to do this work by ourselves, in order to start doing some self-hypnosis.
So we have angels, we have our higher self, we have our spirit. And I would say, do you have a prayer that you ask to be shown those places that are getting in your way? That's the first thing. You have that prayer, or you have that ask within yourself and say, help me see what's getting in my way. And then when you see what's in your way, then you ask for help. How do I change this, or what do I need to do? And you start getting ideas, and you start seeing and understanding that how you can change those. And then you'll be brought to different people, you'll be brought to different books, you'll be brought to different audio podcasts and things. You'll be given that, because our prayers are answered. You'll be given that. And when you're on this path of healing and letting go of what's in the way of you being really who you really are and what you're here to do, you will have help in that. But that's what I do every day. I ask every day, what's in my way? What do I need to do with this? What can I do? And I let myself have quiet time, stillness, where there's no videos, no audio, nothing, just being still and just being quiet. And it's amazing what comes when you start doing that. And then you can ask other people too, like, what's your favorite book, or who's the person that motivates you? You can ask and then start doing some research and study with those. But all of us are on our own path with this. We have our own, we each are given our own little study area. It's like when we start doing our own work, but we're going to be supported and we're going to be guided, because that's what's wanted for us, to really be the best of who we are, to be the person that we came to be. That we're being supported in that every single day. And when you start asking me, I love the show me question. I just say, show me. That's my prayer. And sometimes it's like, okay. And then they show me. Okay, I'll work on that. But you really do it's answered. And that's the thing, because then you're on your own personal development plan that's different from anybody else's. And it's pretty amazing what happens when you start doing that. That would be my biggest suggestion.
Yeah.
Let yourself be guided.
The most important thing is start asking questions to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is so difficult for people to take some time for themselves?
Well, it's because you have to let go of other things, and it's also because there's work. It's inner work. It takes work to look. It takes work to stop. It takes work to read something and say, okay, how do I apply this? It takes time and takes energy, and I think that's one of the reasons why we get kind of lazy. And the subconscious mind is lazy. It won't change itself. Our conscious mind sees what's happening with with the subconscious mind, and then through our awareness of that, and then through the process of that change work, using the conscious mind and the subconscious mind and what's called the superconscious mind, which is our direct connection to source. All those three work together. And but it's that conscious awareness where we go, oops, I don't want this. This is in my way, or this is something away from what I really want. And then we can start working on that subconscious mind. But it won't change itself. We have to be the one to consciously doing that. And sometimes there's events that spontaneously help us with that change, and that's good too. But it's the everyday, little by little, doing that every day that really makes the biggest difference.
Yeah. Could you give us finally a message for everybody? Because, for example, we met in Napoleon Hill Institute because I invest in myself. You invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of years, that I have been investing in myself, in one course, in another, and a lot of courses, and I'm still investing in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the same, because also you have a lot of certifications, and you are always investing in yourself. And what is the message that you can give us to the people who are listening us? What is the most important thing that they have to think in order to start investing in themselves? Because, what I think is that it's really a great decision to invest in ourselves. And I think that, it is a never-ending process.
Mm-hmm.
And what you could say to the people who are listening us, why it is so important to invest in ourselves? Why?
Well, how I would answer that is, what do you really want? And as we keep asking that question, what do I really want? What do I really want? You start really recognizing. And for me, I've wanted to improve myself. I've wanted to raise my frequency. I've wanted to be in having my thoughts and feelings in alignment with those higher frequencies and feeling good. And so that's what I've worked on, because I've had some of that hasn't been like that. And so what do you really want? And then what am I willing to do to get that? What do I really want? What am I willing to do to get that? And that's what we look at each and every day, and in making those small steps. Sometimes it's a big step, sometimes it's small steps, but making those steps every day to become what we really want. And if you look at end of life, and now I have a hard time with end of life, because I know that when somebody dies, they don't die, their body does, they continue on. I do a lot of work on the other side with those that have continued on. But what do you want people to say about you? What do you want to be able to say about yourself? How do you want to feel? And I've done some past life sessions. I do that for other people, but I've done it for myself. And you have an end of life, and you have this feeling of failure, of disappointment in yourself. You have these different feelings at the end of life, and it's like, no, this is not what I want. I want this end to be different. I want to be feeling good about myself. I want to be so happy. I want to be proud of myself. And that's one thing I look at. It's like, am I doing that? Am I going to be feeling good about myself, happy with what I've done, or am I going to be disappointed? And so that's it's like, what do you want? And it may be what you want in different areas, but there's going to come a time when there's that, I want to say, called the come to Jesus moment, when you say, okay, here's what I did. Am I really happy about that? And that's the feeling I wanted, to say, yes, I'm happy with what I accomplished. I'm happy with what I achieved. I'm happy with where I'm at, where I am at, rather than feeling like, oh, I could have done this and I could have done that, full of regret. But it's really that each one of us, only we can answer that question. But putting that investment in ourselves is really important. And each time that I have looked at something I've wanted to invest in, or looking at what I want, and then I've asked for help with that to my angels, to my higher self, and it's always come through. It's like, when it was the right thing to do, it's always come through. We get help in having that money, or having the time and energy. We get help with that. And if it's something that's really good for you, you'll be able to do it. So it's well worth spending the money. I have no regrets about spending that money for those investments. No regrets. Some things I bought, some things I spent money on, I have had regrets, but this, never. I've never had regret for that. And it's always just felt good, and it's felt right to be on, for me to be on my own path for me. And I know that when I'm on my own path for me, I am getting better and better at doing what I came to do, which really also just really feels really good. I'm doing what I came to do here. And I can, no matter what things in life that isn't working, or relationships that aren't working, I can look myself in the eye in the mirror and say, I am doing my job. And that feels good. That's amazing to be able to say that to yourself.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think it's really, great news for the people who are listening us. And one more question: why you didn't, instead of investing, why you didn't spend your time on YouTube videos? Tell me a little bit. What is your opinion about that? Because I have some clients that they say, why I'm gonna spend, why I'm gonna pay this course if I have all of this in YouTube? So what do you think? What could you say, since you, from your experience? So I ask you this question: why you didn't spend some time in YouTube and didn't invest time, money, and everything in yourself?
Well, why? Okay, so I need to understand the question. You're asking, why do we invest in ourselves?
Yeah, why you invest in yourself instead of just watching TV?
Oh, instead of
Watching
watching
video.
TV. Okay. Well, sometimes I don't watch TV right now because my TV is gone. But sometimes I do things that are relaxing and feel and do help me in certain moments, but only for a short time. And then I want to get back into that investing in myself. We do need to have a balance in our life, so it isn't like every single minute, because that's overwhelming for me, and I would get too tired. But I need to spend a certain amount of time every day. And this is my life. I'm the one in charge of my life. I'm in the driver's seat. I'm the only one that can make those choices. I'm the only one that can decide each day, where am I going to spend my time and energy and money. I'm the only one that can do that. And then to look at the end of a day and say, did I do that wisely? Am I happy with what I did with that day? And sometimes I'm on vacation and other things, but every single bit of life, there are things that happen I notice, okay, I have awarenesses about, oh, but that just happened, or, oh, I noticed that's going on. And so it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be hard or intense to be looking at yourself. You can just notice, that's an interesting reaction I just had. And you can, at that moment, look at it, or you can maybe write it down or put it in the back of your mind and say, okay, when I get to my quiet time in my day, I'm going to look at that more. I'm going to journal with that. I'm going to see what comes about what happened. So you can set up different times of your day that you can. I like the morning, but you can set up different times where you can look at what's happened in your life and say, is this what I want to keep? Is this one I want to let go of? I'm the only one that can do that. And if I'm not in charge of my life, I'm just letting myself be blown like a leaf. It just goes wherever. Or am I going to say, I'm going to create the life that I want? And that's one of my taglines is to have people create their own life. And you create the life. My last one was, think again. You can create the life that you want. Now it's when you want to change your story, call Dory. So so there's different ones, but we are the one in charge. We have to. No one else can do it for you. That's the thing. No one else can do this for you, and no one else has your values or your understanding or care about you that you have. You care more about yourself. You're the only one that can do that. That's what I say. And if you do it or you don't, and that's okay. That it's your life, that's your choice, and it's something that no one else can do that. You have to do it for yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a question here. It says, do you do sessions online? Yes, absolutely, I do. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
We are a little bit about that. Do you have any other question there, guys? Yeah, it's always what I said. You have the power, and the only power that you have is to change your life. Mm-hmm. You cannot change your partner. You cannot change your son. You cannot change anybody. The only power that you have is to change to yourself. And when you change yourself, you are going to understand all the other people, and then it's going to be the life easier. So, yeah. Which is what. So, Dory, I'm so happy to have you here. And I'm so grateful because you have really shared your knowledge with us. I'm so honored to talk to you, and thank you for all the experience that you have shared with us. And for sure, we are going to have some questions. And don't worry, because we are going to arrange some new things together. Okay, so thank you. So I'm gonna talk ahora en español, chicas y chicos. Ahora, como ustedes ven, hemos estado hablando con Dori. Dori es también una coach también de Napoleon Hill Institute. Y bueno, por ejemplo, ayer Dori estuvo en nuestro mastermind gratuito que tenemos todos los sábados. Entonces, ustedes van a tener, todas las personas que vengan al mastermind gratuito, van a tener también la oportunidad de experimentar distintas actividades que haremos con nuestros invitados, porque en mi mastermind van a haber muchos invitados. Entonces vamos a tener la oportunidad de recibir mucho de ellos y de dar también mucho de nosotros. Así que miren, ayer vamos a preguntarle esto a Dori. So Dori, what was your experience yesterday in listening everything into Spanish and into Italian? Experience there in my mastermind yesterday.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was in Spanish and Italian, and I know very little Italian, but I know a little more Spanish, but not a lot more. And when it gets fast, then it's harder for me to keep track. But I was understanding the words, but I was also understanding the tone and the way that the questions were asked. So there was a lot I was understanding more than maybe you think. But I liked it a lot. So it was really cool, even though it was not in English.
I'm so grateful that you were yesterday because, it was something spontaneous. There was, Sabrina, who is Italian, so we started to do some activities also into Italian, and it is wonderful, It is just because we took the decision to invest in ourselves, and we really met all of beautiful people, Italian, English, Spanish, we also somebody from France, so that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing, working with all of these beautiful souls. So Dori, I'm gonna give also. We are gonna have here also your address in Instagram, also your WhatsApp and everything. So people, if you need to talk to Dori, please just let us know, because she's available in order to do online sessions. She's available in order to do also group sessions, and whatever you need, she's gonna to help here for us. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Dori. It's been really a pleasure. For sure, we are gonna arrange another meeting.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna work together. So I really love this, because now you're learning Spanish, and that's wonderful. You are gonna be Spanish with us. So wonderful. So thank you, Dori.
Thank you. And I did put my WhatsApp number and my email in the comments, so you can contact me through there. So.
Okay. Thank you, dear. See you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Awesome.
With all of my love. So guys, thank you for being here. Bye bye. See you next time. Oh, it closed. To do is you have to press there the button that I have.
Okay.
Thank you, dear. See you.